Italian Football Podcast.
Hello everybody and welcome to the Italian Football Podcast, the official podcast of Football Italia. I'm Carlo Garganese, joined as always by Nima and Carlo. On today's show, we will review the weekend Serie A action. Inter go back to the top on their own as they beat Genoa, while Napoli lose and Milan draw. Juventus get a big win in the race to the top four at Bologna, while Fiorentina lose again, and it's now starting to look very desperate for La Viola. We'll also have our usual Baggio, Premface and Serie ASS of the week. If you want to support the Italian Football Podcast, receive all of our content that we do throughout the week without any ads, including our free Monday review show, our weekly Q&A episode, plus our Thursday midweek review show, plus interviews, post-match reaction, and much, much more. Then go to patreon.com/TIFP and become a subscriber for just $3.99 a month. You can also become a patron on YouTube memberships. YouTube channel is youtube.com/@ItaFootPod. You can also sign up to be a paid subscriber on Spotify and whichever platform you consume us on. Spotify, Apple, iTunes, YouTube. We'd really appreciate if you give us a follow, subscribe to us, give us a 5-star rating, give us a like. All of that, it really helps us to grow. And if you've not already, do follow us on our social media platforms on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and TikTok. Okay, let's get into today's show. Okay, before we go through match by match and the big games of the weekend, I want to start off with the big talking point of the week, and that is, unfortunately, the Serie A refs. You in particular have been very critical of the refs. You've been calling for Rocky to go this season because the refereeing hasn't been good so far. I generally try and not talk about the refs too much because I find it boring, but this weekend we can't avoid it. This was the worst weekend of refereeing I've seen for a long, long time. It was shameful, the refereeing in multiple games. The number of shocking decisions in Serie A this weekend. 4 in particular, the Pulisic disallowed goal for Milan, which has ended up costing Milan 2 points. The Zaniolo goal, which was disallowed for Udinese against Napoli, which in the end didn't matter, but it could have done. Cremonese not being given a penalty, and the Zaccagni straight red card. Those are 4 which have been heavily slammed. But this season, all long, the number of shocking refereeing decisions has been incredible in Serie A. Is our ref system the worst in Europe now, Nima?
I don't know if it's the worst in Europe because there's quite a lot of, unfortunately, in that particular race, there's quite a few candidates to want that throne. But what I will tell you, and this is what I've been going on about all season, is that it's not working. And the reason it's not working is that from game to game, even in games, there's no consistency at all. There's no clarity. And Rocky, who's in charge of the Serie A referees, his only way of handling this is to go out, throw the referees under the bus in particular, and then send them to Serie B and Serie C, which is basically wash his hands of the entire situation, which is, well, to say it's bad leadership would be an understatement. He's in charge of this organization. He's in charge of communicating to the referees, to the VARs, to the assistant referees, when they can intervene, when they can't intervene, when they're supposed to intervene, when they're not supposed to intervene, how the VAR protocol is supposed to work, the handball law and how it's supposed to be interpreted. All of these things, that's literally his remit. That's his job. His job is to communicate how these things are to be applied and to be interpreted. And he has consistently failed for 5-6 years. This season, it's so bad that no one can even turn a blind eye to it anymore. And that's why we're in the situation we're in. he has to go. He has to resign. It's as simple as that. He doesn't know how to run this organization. Now, I'm not holding my breath as to whoever replaces him will be any better. But the fact of the matter is that there has to be some accountability. There has to be someone who's responsible for the ridiculousness that we're seeing week in, week out. It's making a complete mockery of everything. No, it's just confusion. Every single game is confusion. No one knows. It just feels so arbitrary. And
it is arbitrary, yeah.
And it's not. And it's like, I don't even blame the referees on that, because they look confused. All of them look confused. They don't know what they're supposed to do. And the person in charge who's supposed to tell them what they're supposed to do is simply not fit for office. He doesn't know what he's doing. He has no ability. He has no authority. It doesn't seem they respect him anymore. I mean, a couple of weeks ago when he came out and said one thing, this is how we're supposed to do it, then the referees went and still did the other thing. So clearly they don't respect him, and I can understand why they don't respect him. He doesn't warrant respect. He was useless as a referee when he was a referee himself, and he's even more useless as being in charge of the referees. So he has to go. He really has to go, and it's weird, because it's literally every single game there's something stupid happening now that is inexplicable, and nobody. And it's not
just yeah. I was going to say, Nima, it's not just awful decisions, and there's been so many horrific calls. I mean, these just all happened on one weekend, but like the number.
It's been like this all season. It's been like this for many years, Carlo. I'm sorry.
I mean, this season, some of the shockers we've had. I mean, we've had the.
I'm sorry, yeah, but we've had it last season as well. I mean,
no. I mean, just
the Napoli won a Scudetto because Bisek was adjudged to do a handball when his arm was behind his back. Look, it's been going on for years. Let's not bullshit. As long as Rocky's been in charge of this organization, there's been no consistency, no clarity. It's just been, let's go. Inshallah, it goes well. And his response to that has always been the same: come out, throw the referee in question under the bus. And then it happens again the following game. The thing that's been different this week is that it doesn't even the same thing happens from kickoff to kickoff now. I mean, even inside games, it's been going on for it's as long as he's been in charge, it's been like this. And that's why I keep saying the only difference is that now it's reached the point where no one can pretend that it doesn't exist anymore. It literally is impossible to turn a blind eye to it now, which is the classic Italian football thing. The shit there's so much shit being swept under the rug that the rug is a mountain now that it doesn't even touch the floor anymore. That's how much shit is under the rug now, and that they've swept under the rug. And this is where we are.
The worst thing about it is that, yes, there's been loads of shocking refereeing decisions, but we don't know what is a penalty, what is not a penalty, what is a handball, what is not a handball, when the VARs should be used or is going to be used, when it shouldn't, or when it isn't going to be used. Like, it is completely arbitrary. No one has a clue what is supposed to be happening. It's complete anarchy and chaos now. And the best example of that is, it's a scandal, that penalty, the Tudorsic goal that doesn't get given. That's cost them 2 points, which could like you said, end of the season could cost them the Scudetto. It's a scandal. And then the Juventus game they played later on, where is exactly the same push that against I don't know if it was Jonathan David, one of the Juventus players, it doesn't get given. Now, that's not a penalty in a million years. I'm not saying it is a penalty, but that's exactly the same touch that was given for Pulisic's goal to be disallowed. And then you compare incidences of in
the same game, I compare when Pavlovic charges down, doesn't get the ball, fouls Shadira, and then similarly, that's not a penalty. But then when Napoli played Inter, Mkhitaryan was adjudged to give. I mean, it's been like this all season. It is literally, even in games now, it's just confusing. It's like watching football where it's like you throw, like the famous Mourinho quote, throwing coins on a table, and whatever stays on the table, that's what we go with. And it's been like this for many years. It's just that now it's reached fever pitch. It's been like this all season, and it's exhausting. And he's really unbelievable, Rocky, that he has the brass neck to sit there week in, week out and chat utter shit and do this fake moral outrage and indignation about the decision in charge. It's your organization. You're in charge. So whose fault is that? Everyone who works for you can't be an idiot. Well, theoretically they can, but still, you're in charge of that. You're in charge of that. So where is your responsibility in that? He doesn't feel any. He doesn't have any. Just send this referee to Serie B, send that guy to Serie C, bring some other idiot in who does the same thing again, and the tombola keeps spinning round and round and round and round. It's vintage Italian football bullshit.
Oh,
vintage Italian football bullshit.
Moving on from the Rocky Horror Show, Inter go top.
Rocky Horror Show.
After that Milan slip up, and Napoli as well. So of all the talk, Nima, about Kivu losing the big games, Inter beat the small teams, and now they're top of the table. And I've always said, you don't win the Scudetto beating the big teams. You win the Scudetto beating the small teams. You win the cups. You win the Champions League beating the big teams. But in the Scudetto, if you beat up on the lower half and mid-table teams, you win the Scudetto. And that's what Inter are doing. And that's why, they could win this Scudetto, because when they play teams like Genoa, it wasn't a particularly amazing performance from Inter. First half, okay, they did well. Second half, not great. But, you expect them to win these games.
Well, they have the best squad in the Serie A. This is not something on paper. This is something that we've said for many years. It's nothing new. They are more than good enough to overcome the individual quality of that squad, and also how they strengthened in the summer. Now Luis Enrique is looking good. He's come to his own. We saw a great cameo or starting performance by Andy Diouf in the Coppa Italia. We haven't seen him since, but he's been looking good as well. Look, they had the best squad in the Serie A last season. Now they have an even better squad. So the quality is there. That's always been true. But the issue is I don't agree with that at all, because it's not that you don't win the Scudetto. You got to get points against everyone. It's not sustainable for Inter to keep losing big matches. You got Juve, Milan, and Napoli left. If you're you're telling me that Inter are going to win the Scudetto losing 7 games, because they've lost 4 already, and there's always going to be another situation where they'll drop points. I don't buy that. The big game curse has to be addressed. Now, I understand if they don't, they want the Serie A title back, and the Champions League is not what they focus on this season, unlike last season where they were clearly going for the Champions League. But the big game problem is a problem, and it continues to haunt them. And as I said in my post-match reaction after Liverpool, under Conte, under Inzaghi, they either won the big games in the Serie A and lost them in the Europe, or was vice versa. This season they've done both. They've lost all big games in both Serie A and Champions League so far on match day 15. Now that's just a fact. Them being top of the Serie A is because the quality of the team is so good that they overcome these smaller teams, and that's nothing. I'm not surprised by that. I don't think anyone is surprised by that. So that's good news for Inter, and it's just to talk about this game as a in and of itself, like. The way this is very important for Inter from a psychological point of view, to go to the Super Cup in Saudi Arabia, where Napoli and Milan are also going to be there, and lead them. This is really important. This gives Inter some breathing space in the league, which had Napoli and Milan not been in the Super Cup, they would not have had. And those are the main candidates to win the Scudetto. So this is very important from a mental perspective, that they will lead the Serie A even after next weekend when they're not playing, and that's really important for them. We'll see what this means down the line. I still don't think that you can keep not even drawing, like not even a draw. You just keep losing in these big matches and end up winning the league. I personally don't think that's sustainable. But I mean, the proof will be in the pudding come May, whether it's sustainable or not. Personally, that's just my opinion. I don't think it's enough. You can't keep losing every single game. I haven't looked it up, the record for how many losses a team has had and won the Scudetto, but I think that will be a new record. Inter have 4 losses. If they lose to Milan, Napoli, and Juve again, that's 7 losses. It means they have to win 31 games. Okay, with 93 points, you win the league. That's just, you do that. But how likely is it? And if that's the case, well, then that just goes to show, that's a separate discussion for a separate day, for another day. But the fact of the matter is that, 2 things can be true at once. Inter are too good for the league. Inter are too good in terms of quality against these smaller sides, and they keep showing that. They keep demonstrating that. And in this game, if we talk about some of the issues that we see this season as we do as last season, apart from the awful big match results, it is these defensive where they fall asleep. I mean, what the hell are Akanji and Bastoni doing for that goal? Why is who's the boss in that defense? Why is no one assertive? This was exactly what we saw this for large parts last season as well, and it's just continued. They're basically just looking at each other saying, you do it, and instead Genoa, halve the deficit, and that's a potential point drop through just indecision and incompetence, individual incompetence, which is not just by chance anymore. We can't say that that's by chance. That there's something else here. And we've praised Inter through the years under Conte, under Inzaghi, for showing mental strength, for scoring late, winning games at the death, and so on. But at the same time, when these mistakes keep happening time and time again, decisive, though this time it wasn't decisive, but these brain farts that they collectively seem to have, I think we need to start asking questions. Is it a mental thing? Is it a qualitative thing? Because what is it? It can't just be Conte. It can't be Inzaghi. And in this instance, when Kivu was here, it can't be Kivu. It has to be something else. There are other questions that need to be asked, because when you go to sleep, when you collectively collapse mentally, when your 2 goals up, and it's happened time and time again, you have to start asking questions. What is the problem? Because you can, the easy answer to that is just changing the coach, as Inter have done. But there's also deeper questions that need to be asked. And, again, 2 thoughts, 1 mind.
Yeah, I mean, I do want the positive side. I thought Lautaro's goal was world class. The way that he had the ball on his right foot, all of the balance is on his right foot. Then the ball kind of, deliberately or not, is moved onto his left foot, and the way that he just instantly hits it with his left foot with no time at all to balance his body in the right position, and he just hits that with his left foot. That's a world-class finish. That's pure class. That was fantastic. So yeah, I would like to praise that. I thought the first goal.
I just wanted to say on that point about Lautaro, this season he's spreading his goals around in the Serie A. Yes, he has these patches, but he's spreading goals around. He scores 1 here, 1 there, 1 here, 1 there. And that's why he's on A. He's a top goal scorer. And that's not why he's the top goal scorer. I think it's down to other things. So that's something I want to talk about later, that this season we've seen more shocking misses by players than I can ever remember. Just ridiculous. But one thing, that if Inter are to win this Scudetto, it will be because Lautaro no longer just scores 4 in 1 game and then doesn't score for 7 games. He spreads his goal tally around. So far in these 8 goals that he scored, I don't think he scored more than maybe once a brace. I think it's just been 1 goal, 1 goal, 1 goal, 1 goal. That's really important. He needs to do that if Inter are to win the Scudetto. I think that's the key here for him.
Well, it's not just him; it's also Inter. But this has always been their strength for many years. They spread the goals around their whole team and squad. I believe there's no team in Serie A that has more players that scored goals than Inter, which is also a massive advantage that they have over other teams. I did think the first goal was a massive mistake by Liali. Shocking.
Huge
mistake. Awful. Just awful. It wasn't even a good strike. It was not even in the corner. It was weak. It was half scuffed. It was awful. Horrendous.
Yeah, that's a goalkeeping howler. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah. Let's move on to Napoli now before we talk about Milan, because Napoli have fallen down to third now. They lose 1-0 to Udinese. Won the goal from Ekkelenkamp. Unreal goal, one of the goals of the season, top corner. Second time that he scored this year.
Yeah.
A great goal against Napoli. Napoli got battered for the second game in a week. Udinese dominated this game from start to finish. Napoli created absolutely nothing until the last 2 minutes when Højlund missed an open goal. But I actually think that might have been offside. I think Luca was actually offside anyway for that. And then I think Luca kind of had a half chance at the back post right in deep in injury time. Apart from that, Napoli never created nothing at all. And Udinese had chance after chance in this game. They had 2 goals disallowed. One of them was as I said at the top of the show, was disgraceful that decision gets made. That decision gets made by the VAR. So they've actually gone and looked at that afterwards. But we've discussed that already. It's scandalous, that decision, just like Milan's one. But anyway, it didn't cost Udinese in the end, so it doesn't really matter in terms of this result. But they had 2 goals disallowed. Udinese, Napoli rode their luck the entire game, and eventually Udinese definitely deserved to win. The reasons for this are the same reasons that as always. Napoli players looked exhausted. Yes, okay, they've got a few injuries. There isn't that many players available, but this is on Antonio Conte, and he's not being able to play twice a week or 3 times a week. Have a look at the list of the players that played in these last 3 matches. They're exactly the same for all 3 games except for 1 change. So in 3 games, 1 change in three games from the starting 11. It's on Antonio Conte. The guy doesn't know how to rotate his squad. And as a result, they're exhausted. They had no energy, and also not just about the rotation. He doesn't know how to manage and train his players to get their loads, get their conditioning right. That's down to him. That's down to his team, the people he has in charge, and this has been his entire
throughout his career.
So it's all on him. It's all on him. It really is as simple as that. If you have a look at the stats of the Napoli games against Benfica and Udinese, it's shocking. They had 0 shots on target against Udinese, and against in both games they conceded over 30 shots in the 2 games against Benfica and Udinese, which is horrendous. So it's all on Conte.
No, look, it's funny because in the sense that after that 3-4-3 where things are looking good, now it's like teams have adapted already. Mourinho, I thought, for Benfica, just completely nullified him. Knew how to counter how they played and just completely just erased him. And they had nothing going forward. In this game, same thing as well. I really want to place Kosta Runjaic. I'm really impressed by him. I've been impressed by him for for a long time now. But now I think we're talking about a coach who I think if he continues like this will get a bigger job. Will go somewhere bigger, and then from there on, we'll see what happens. But I'm very impressed by how Kosta Runjaic has handled Udinese, how he's got them positioned on the pitch, how he's got them balanced. And let's be honest, they battered Napoli. They completely dominated this game from start to finish, and deserved to win. No one can say that Udinese did not deserve to win this game. And I was, it was an individual moment of brilliance that came with a winner. But if you look at the way that they built play, the way that they absorbed and nullified Napoli in defense, it was so impressive to see. They'd really done their homework. And that is a concern, to tie back to Conte. That's a concern. Because let me just finish that point. If he doesn't, he needs to, this is a red light. This is a warning sign. Because if his plan B has been read, then there's going to be problems.
Absolutely. How much of it is down to the formation already being read, or how much it is down to the fact that it's just the same problem we've seen throughout his career, that as soon as they play 2-3 games a week, their performance levels just drop. Maybe it's a bit of both. How much it's also down to the fact that this formation didn't change things as much as we thought. And that's something that I raised the first time they used it. And I said, this 3-4-3, where you're playing two central midfielders, and when those two central midfielders, also due to the fact that they've got players missing, Anguissa namely, who's vitally important in terms of being that physical runner, powerful, defensively, can cover the ground and everything. When he's missing, and you're playing a two-man centre midfield in a 3-4-3, which is a very open and stretched formation. That I raised it at the time, and I said, if you're playing McTominay and Lobotka, or McTominay and Elmas, but Lobotka actually then came back into the team in this game, that your central midfield is too open, and certainly with the case of Lobotka, doesn't have the legs to cover the ground, and you're not protected. And if you play against teams that have three-man centre midfielders, three-man centre midfields, or against teams that run more, and especially when you play against teams away from home, I said all of these things. I said I'm a little bit concerned, and we saw this week, because in the earlier games, many of those initial performances were against teams that also played two-man centre midfields, and as a result, the weaknesses, or the potential weaknesses that I've just said, weren't exposed. Now this week against Benfica and against Udinese, I mean, Udinese play a three-man centre midfield. They were really painfully exposed in that central midfield, and like Lobotka in particular, Lobotka was really bad. I mean, Lobotka gave the ball away for that Zaniolo goal, which should never have been disallowed. It was never a foul. That's kind of an example of where you're hollow and exposed, and you don't have the right players, I think, in against certain types of teams with those two. So that was always my concern from the start. But once again, I think it's probably a combination of everything. And number one constant throughout his career, which we can't get away from, is
playing 3 games 3 times a week. He just can't do it. And he seems unable to be able to balance different competitions, playing 3 times a week, and balancing the workload between training and match fitness, and so he seems like he almost panics and regresses to the mean, in the sense that he presses the reset button and just plays the same 14 players all the time until they run into the ground, and then he starts moaning about how he wasn't backed in the Mercato, or in this year it's a new tune in the jukebox. There's too many players brought in, which I thought was a particularly delightful touch of his. How am I supposed to build a team with 9 new faces? Well, you were the one who wanted them. It's not like De Laurentiis went into the, just took his car for a drive and picked up players along the way and brought them to Castel Volturno. You wanted these players. So it is what it is. I mean, he can't take some of the stuff he says seriously, but the fact of the matter is that if you're going to play a 3-4-2-1, you can't play Lobotka. He doesn't have the engine on him to play like that. I think you need to have Anguissa. McTominay has the engine, and you need Anguissa. You need players, as we say in Sweden, that eat grass, that literally just eat grass, in the sense that they cover. They have the intensity and dynamism to cover a lot of space, because you're always going to, basically, if you play a 3-4-2-1 or a 4-4-2, you're always going to be faced against teams that play 3 in the middle, because they want to create a numerical advantage in the middle of the pitch to expose you, right? That means you have to have 2 players that can make up for that. numerical advantage.
Agreed.
Lobotka doesn't have that engine on him. He just doesn't.
No, I think you can get away with it against certain types of opposition if you're at home against weaker teams in the Serie A, where you're going to completely dominate. They're not going to offer that much. They don't have too much of a threat on the counter. When you play against teams, certainly away from home, against stronger teams, against teams that run, that are physical, and Udinese are a very physical team.
They are.
Then I think that you that's where you come unstuck. I was sure about that at the start, and I think it's been proven. But as for Udinese, I have to praise them because I thought they were really, really good. They've already shown this season against the big teams they're a handful. Because I think they're a handful against big teams also because of those physical strengths. They can handle themselves, and they even handle themselves physically against Inter, who usually bully teams because they're so much bigger and stronger.
Yeah, they're able to outmuscle teams, and the reason they're able to do that is because Kosta Runjaic interprets games really well. I mean, this is another thing. If you want to have a big career in Italy, at least, you have to deliver well against the bigger teams. You have to make up for the quality on the pitch that is lacking compared to the bigger teams by being smarter. That's how coaches traditionally in Italy have moved up the ladder in terms of from a smaller to a medium to a bigger side. Their ability to tactically maneuver and mitigate the qualitative discrepancy between the smaller team and the bigger team. Runjaic has done that. He's done that brilliantly this season. And it's funny to say, but I think that in this game, he probably, just on paper, not just results wise, but actually just from open play, I think this was his best performance against the big teams this season. I think this was just so impressive to see. Completely read the game well throughout, not just from the start, but throughout the game. His changes, the way that he adapted. Okay, Conte didn't exactly make life difficult for Udinese. By the changes he made, but it's really impressive. I'm very impressed. And
Also
I thought Zaniolo was really good.
That's what I was going to say. Also impressive was Zaniolo. I thought this was his best performance so far with Udinese. Maybe the best performance he's had for maybe since he started moving around and become a journeyman.
It's funny how. When we spoke to Gökhan Inler last week, or when we published the interview with Inler last week, and he spoke about they had a conversation with Zaniolo before they hired him with the coach and tried to convince him, but also the work they did on his mentality. That shows. Is a different Zaniolo this season in the sense that he's much more calmer. He's not, Gökhan Inler said he's an emotional guy. He still is, but he's got his emotions in check. As Zaniolo that gets a goal like that disallowed would have had probably a meltdown 1 or 2 seasons ago. Now it didn't impact him at all. He got a bit annoyed, but he still remained focused. And that is something we have to praise Runjaic and the team around Udinese for being able to handle the mental aspect of these players as well. And I think can't be understated or overstated rather.
No, I agree. And for those of you who haven't seen that interview, do check it out. It's a fantastic interview with Gökhan Inler, who's the technical director of Udinese. It's a 45-minute interview, and he talks all about his work at Udinese, the Udinese project, but also about his great playing career, which included playing for Udinese and Napoli. So it was the Inler derby.
Inler derby. Yeah. No, but seriously, I really think it's one of our best interviews we've done. I'm very, very pleased with how it went, and it was really nice to see him also kind of offer as much insight into how they work, which I thought was fascinating to listen to.
And it was quite prophetic as well, should have been prophetic given that Zaniolo should have scored the winner, but it got chalked off. Let's talk about Milan, who dropped 2 points. They draw 2-2 with Sassuolo. I'll get the refereeing out of the way first. There's one that counts. There's the other one which you referred to, but that came late in the game at 2-2 already. But the Pulisic disallowed goal is a scandal. It's disgraceful. It's 2-1. Ruben Loftus-Cheek puts his hands on was it Kande, the Sassuolo player, there's not even a push at all, and they disallow the goal. And it's the fact that the VAR doesn't even look at it; they just blow play on straight away.
I don't think that's what happened. I think the referee disallows it, then they communicate. Every goal is always reviewed by the VAR. I don't think it was an issue they didn't look at it. They communicate with the referee. The referee says what he saw. The VAR can't do anything. Again, the power always rests with the referee. He's the one. It's called an on. You can suggest an on-field review. The referee decides whether or not he wants to take that review, take that suggestion up or not. This is on the referee more than anything, unless they didn't communicate at all. And if they didn't communicate at all, yes, that is a big ass scandal, because that is not how the VAR protocol is supposed to be applied.
It happened so quickly, though. That's my point.
Yeah.
Like it happened so quickly. Like it was literally just goal got disallowed, and then they just took the free kick straight away. The speed with which some of these decisions were made, including the one at the other end, which could have been a penalty for Sassuolo at 2-2 to win the game. Now, if this first one happens, that's irrelevant. The game's over. So it's not even, as some people are saying. It's not even. It's
well, it's even in the sense that it's refereeing mistakes and it's inconsistency, and no one knows what a penalty is, no one knows what a foul is. But I mean, sure, in the dynamic of the game, it probably wouldn't have mattered. But look, it's I was, I know we need to talk about Sassuolo after we talk about Milan, but I was impressed by Sassuolo in this game. I thought the fundamentals of how they build up and attack, it was their second goal, or both of their goals, were just beautiful. The second goal was just wow.
They were both similar goals, weren't they? There was the runner coming from deep, picking up the ball off the Pinamonti, laying it off. And
the movement, the ball is like on a string between them, and Milan just couldn't keep up, which is, I suppose, also a reminder to us watching that this is not a finished product Milan. This really is a Milan that is in the beginning of this new Allegri project. And we have to remember that. I think it's, for Milan fans, they get carried away, and I understand why fans get carried away. They're in the top of the Serie A. They're looking at Napoli playing once a week with a squad that wasn't exactly the best in the world, and they won the league, and they're thinking, well, they fancy their chances, and so they'll be disappointed. But I think this was a healthy reminder that this is a work in progress, and I think Allegri is so smart that he will probably use it as such and say, okay, well, it's a learning curve for us still, because they were very passive for both goals. But it doesn't. I don't think that takes away from the brilliance of Sassuolo's goals.
We'll stick it on Milan. A few points, 3 points, which were costly. I mean, ultimately, the referees cost them number one in this game. But the record against the smaller teams, number one. We're talking again, coming back to Inter. Inter beating all the small teams.
It's the inversion of that.
Milan's the opposite. Milan are doing great against the big teams, but against the smaller teams, they failed to win against any of the three newly promoted teams. They lost to Cremonese at home. Pisa drew at home, and Sassuolo drew at home. And they conceded 6 goals against these three newly promoted teams. They also drew with Parma, who you'd put in the same category. Well, you'd probably put lower than 2 of those teams. Well, they are lower than 2 of those teams. So, and also conceded 2 against Parma. So there's that. And then there's also, well, this is just a general thing. Me and our producer, social media producer, Alex, who's a big Milan fan, he was very critical of Allegri about this. And I agree with the overall point, but I disagreed for this game. And it was the whole Allegri was contained. It was played a containment game at 2-1 in this game when he should have gone to try and kill off the game. And that's the old Allegri trap, which we've seen a few times this season, which has cost Milan. And I agree that has been a reason earlier on in the season. But in this game, yes, okay, they were containing a little bit. They maybe invited Sassuolo on, and then Sassuolo got the equaliser. But I don't want to be too critical, because at the end of the day, Milan did actually kill off this game. And if it wasn't for the referee, the game would have been killed off. So I think that it's a bit unfair on Allegri to be too critical on that. But yes, I do think that to an extent, it's a general issue with Allegri that, especially against these smaller teams, you've got to keep on attacking. Don't go deep and invite them on, because it only takes one moment and then you've dropped points. And
they do say that Christmas is the season of miracles, and I think we just listened to one right now. Carlo defending Allegri being defensive. It's a Christmas miracle. Hallelujah. Well,
talking about being defensive, Milan have generally been very good defensively under Allegri, and we've praised them, but actually they haven't defended well this week against Torino as well, which they somehow managed to come back and win. They defended very badly, and again in this game as well, I think that it was good play by Sassuolo, and you have to give them credit for those goals, like you said. And those are moves that have been worked by Grosso, who was suspended for this game. But also, like Gabbia, and they went off with an injury after as well. He's done way too easily for that first goal, like the way that Kone just breezes past him. And this
you mean the savior of the Azzurri defense? Who everyone
that's my
banging
point.
on about.
That's my point.
Gabbia's Gabbia we trust.
On him.
Gabbia's the new Baresi. Fuck Bastoni. Bring in Gabbia. Gabbia. I mean, it's
this is why I'm not sold on him for Italy, because I think he's very good positionally, organizationally. He's steady. He doesn't get out of position. But when it comes down to just pure ability and one-on-one, if you have a top
individual quality, he's lacking
individual quality, top players running at him, and the lack of maybe a bit of speed as well. That for me, that's too easy. That Kone's gone past him. He doesn't fight. He doesn't battle to win that ball. He just goes breezes past him. And yes, he's done a little bit on the whole momentum of the situation, but So I think that's
I think
why
he's a defender. I think he's a defender like Rugani, who was another one of Allegri's favorite players, in the sense that they're solid players in a system, but the individual quality to be a top player just isn't there. And I include Gatti in that as well. You don't have these, they're good system players in a solid system, in a solid team environment. They look really good. They perform really well. But when it comes to moves like the one Sassuolo did, where you have to actually have the awareness, you have to be a bit more, proactive, and you have to understand and read and be quick. He just doesn't have those qualities. He just doesn't have those qualities, and it's not, it's not a. It's just that's just how he is, and that Milan, if they want, they have to strengthen their defense. I just don't think he's. I think at the stage Milan are now, he's good enough. But if Milan want to build for next season and beyond, they need better starters in defense. I really believe that.
I agree completely. Let's talk about the positive though. Bartesaghi, this was his breakout game, and it's a shame that Milan didn't win this game, because we could have really kind of gone big on this, and because he would have been the hero of the match. So it's a little bit shame, but he scored 2 goals in this game, and he's become the first choice left wing back now. Estupiñán was supposed to be that man. He's pushed him out. He's the undisputed starter now, and he'll be even more so now after these two goals. The question is, how good can Bartesaghi become? Because he has some unique qualities about him. The guy is 6'5".
Yeah, he's big.
A wing back, which is very, very unusual. Big. You don't get that. He's not built like a wing back or a fullback even, or a winger. He's not built like a lateral player. He's
player.
He's built like a central player, centre back, really. But because of that, he will always be a goal threat, because I think he started apparently as an attacker or as a left attacker earlier on in his career. So he's already very unorthodox kind of player. But because of his size and his physique and his physical qualities, his height, he's always going to be a threat. He's going to score goals in his career just purely based on that.
Agreed.
he has a good left foot. He's a very good crosser of the ball.
Yeah,
and a decent striker of the ball, and decent
Agreed.
finishers, as we saw as well. So there is something about him. Whether or not how good he will become, he's very young. We'll have to see how he develops. He's a bit robotic for me. He's a bit of a straight line player.
I was just about to say he's so direct, like he just goes boom like that.
Yeah, he goes straight. Like if he's running again, if there's a player in front of him, he won't try and.
No. He's a straight line player. He's a straight line player. He literally is.
It'd be a good rugby.
Football is played in straight lines in Bartesaghi's head, and that's just the thing is that since he is big, he can physically outmuscle. I think he's got decent technique. I don't want to make it sound like I don't think that, because I do think he's got decent technique. We're not talking Maradona here, but he's got decent technique. But he is a straight line kind of guy, and his physique helps him in that. And I also think that he's got a good read of the game. I think that's what gives him an advantage, is that he can anticipate moves before they happen. Kind of the polar opposite maybe of Gabbia, where I think he's lacking in anticipation. I think Bartesaghi has that. I think he can read the game well. And that's why it gives him an advantage, so that he knows what's going to happen just that fraction of a second before it does. And therefore he can position himself to do that, to do what is required in that situation. So he's an interesting player. It's going to be interesting to follow him.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, right. Well, let's. We praised Sassuolo. Cornet. Just a quick word on him. I think he's been really good this season.
Yeah,
the Canadian,
very good
the
player.
best performing Canadian in Serie A by, let's say, it's not really much of a competition, which brings us on to Juventus. The big name Canadian apparently plays for, and this is a big win for Juventus in the top four race. And I thought they played well. Let's praise them. They played much better this game than they have in recent games, and probably given the opposition probably the best performance under Spalletti. I wouldn't say it was amazing, but again, break it down. Defensively, they barely conceded anything in this entire game. So defensively, they were solid. I thought that they were pretty controlling. They were always in control, if not always necessarily controlling possession. I think it was around 50-50. They seemed like the team most in control of this game. And ultimately, they deserved the win. The win came initially, because of Yildiz, because of a moment of brilliance. Until Yildiz puts that amazing assist on a plate for Cabal, really neither team had created really anything in this game. Then after the breakthrough had been made and there was a red card, then Juventus created chances and they should have killed off the game. So what we can say is that really it was Yildiz was the deciding factor in this game. And that's why these kind of players are worth as much as they are, because when you have a game like this, that's very
match winners, game changers. It's that simple.
That's what he did.
That's what he did. This is, as much as we can talk about tactics and we can talk about systemic movement and off the training ground and, team moving like a unit and all that, you need individual brilliance to decide these games that are locked and, to break the pattern. And Kenan Yildiz is that kind of a player. It's that simple. And she showed again, especially in set pieces, you need someone who's got the individual quality to deliver good set pieces and good crosses. And no, he's fantastic. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, it was a beautiful cross. It was unplayable. You
can't defend against that.
You can't defend it. When you put that ball in front of the attackers and defenders and in front of the goalkeeper in that area there, you can't defend that. It's undefendable, because the defender can't touch it because he's risking a known goal. And when you whip it in at the pace that it was whipped in at, the goalkeeper can't get to it. It's too fast for him. So it was just unplayable. And it like you said, it changed the game. I do want to give Spalletti praise for his substitutes in this game, because they also changed the game. He brought on Openda for Jonathan David and Cabal on was, I think, for
Who
Cambiasso.
scores the goal?
And it was Cabal who scored the goal. And Openda also had a massive impact in this game as well, because he got the red card for Hegem as well. So, I mean, those were the two incidents that decided the game. And it was those two players that came on. So Spalletti has been criticised heavily, rightfully so, for his substitutes against Napoli the week before, where at 1-1, he bizarrely took off Yildiz at 1-1, which was inexplicable. And I think he's kind of realised that he made a mistake there, where he got it right in this game. And I also want to praise Openda as well, because he's been heavily criticised, again, rightfully so, because he's been a disaster since he came. But he had a good impact in this game. He was a handful in this match. He's a very strong guy, and he needs to throw that weight around. I mean, you've got to remember, this is a guy who tore the ACL of Bremer in a shoulder to shoulder, basically, because his strength, Bremer kind of misread just how strong Openda was, and he got off balance, and then that ended up tearing his ACL. This guy, shoulder to shoulder, is an absolute beast. He needs to throw his body around in those duels more, and that's what he did to Hegem. Hegem, I mean, it's a mistake by Hegem, but again, I think Hegem's misread just how strong Openda is, and Openda uses his body, barges him, aside, and then he makes the foul, and so he's a handful, and that's what he needs to use, and he set up Yildiz for a chance in injury time. He almost scored himself, and then he had an awful finish at the end. He's not a good finisher. He's not a good striker of the ball, and that is going to continue to be a bit of an issue. But yeah, he was a handful. So I want to praise him.
And I think this win is fundamental for Juve's top four chances, because Roma play Como, if I'm not mistaken, and they're just 1 point ahead with a game in hand. I'm not entirely sure Roma win that game, which means that if they draw it, 2 points, Juve are 2 points off fourth, and that's incredible.
Juventus play Roma this
exactly.
weekend.
That was the point I was going to come to, that they play Roma and have a potential to overtake them. So that's it was. Yeah,
this week is
fundamentally important.
This week is massive for Juventus. I said that before the Napoli game. I said, look, Juventus have got 3 massive matches against big teams that are going to decide whether they actually could fall out of the top 4 race. Which
the trajectory of the season. Yeah.
Because if they can win against Roma, the Juventus then actually have a good run of fixtures coming up. I think they have about 4 or 5 games against kind of bottom half teams.
Pisa away, Lecce at home, Sassuolo away, Cremonese at home, Cagliari away. Yeah, now that puts Juve, and then Parma it's Napoli, and then Champions League, and then Parma. So this actually puts Juve in a good position to go on a bit of a run.
Roma, if Juventus can beat Roma, then they've got a good run of fixtures there with no European games, 1 game a week, apart from the Epiphany match. And then they're in potentially put themselves in a decent position. You're about to laugh there. Is it because I called it the Epiphany match?
No, I wasn't laughing at that. I just thought it was a nice touch. I didn't think of it.
I always call it the Epiphany match. They always play on the 6th, don't they? In Italy, it's like a tradition.
Yeah, they do. You're right. Yeah, isn't that 12th night? Isn't that is it called Epiphany in English? I thought that was 12th night.
The Epiphany, the 6th. What's her name? The woman, the witch. Yeah, the witch.
No, because in Sweden it's called Trettondagsafton, and that's 12th night. So I hadn't noticed that. So yeah.
Is it the 12th night after Christmas? Maybe. Could it be
think
that?
So yeah.
It could be that maybe. Yeah. Like,
no, just noticed it. I didn't think of it like that. But we need to talk about this.
I'll come on to that next. Kelly, I want to praise him because, again, he's been heavily criticised. He was outstanding in this game. He won everything. Like, that was as close to a clinic you can have for an defender. Yes, granted, it was against Dalinga, who I think even me and you could probably defend against now, even with me with my broken back right now. I've done my back in again. I think even we could defend against Dalinga. He was outstanding as a centre back as well. And also Thuram. Thuram was dominant in this game. He was so powerful. He was making those bursting runs, which brings me on to the big transfer story that's going around at the moment, which is a potential swap deal involving Fratesi and Thuram. Can I just say this?
It's not going to happen. Let me just
say this.
It is bullshit.
If Juventus swap Kefa and Thuram for Davide Fratesi, then the people that are running Juventus are Inter agents. Okay, I am saying that outright because let me just be honest.
Do you really think that's going to happen?
Yes, with Juventus, the people that run Juventus, I would not rule out anything. Remember, this is Nima. This is a team that have sold Sule.
Yeah, but they didn't sell established. Yeah, but they weren't established. You can't say that. None of those players were established players. Kefa Thuram is the most important player in Juventus after Kenan Yildiz. Like, there's no chance of that happening. There is, I don't even understand why people are entertaining this. And the funny thing is that the report that started this was that, Fratesi wants to leave, Spalletti wants him, Inter would be open to a swap deal with Fratesi and Thuram, which is, like Patrick Kendrick tweeted out, I'm open to switching my flat in Navigli to a penthouse apartment in the Duomo near Piazza Duomo in Milan. Like, it's like that's not news. That's just nonsense. It's not going to happen. It's literally not going to happen. I wish it would happen, but it's not going to happen.
You'd think by any sense of logic, yes, it's not going to happen. Of course, I agree with you because any competent person would just laugh at this. But again, it's Juventus. This club has been the way that this club has been run, the insane transfer decisions, the insane players and money that's been blown on players, the insane players that have been sold. And we could go on and on the way this club has been run. So I wouldn't rule it out.
It's not going to happen. There is zero. I don't know what to tell you. Tell you what, if it happens, I will donate 100 euros to J'Identità Bianconera, that fraudulent hoax organization that defends the honor of Juventus. I will officially donate 100 euros to the J'Identità Bianconera Foundation if Fratesi and Kefa Thuram are swapped. It's not going to happen. Zero chance of that happening. But I do want to talk about the tether thing, because I think that's fascinating, because the manner in which what's his name, Elkan, came out and gave that State of the Union address, I thought was just, what the hell is going on? Why would he entertain?
You don't think you shouldn't? Well, the problem is, Nima, is that Tether, how much percent of shares have they got in Juventus? I mean, I think they had to listen. I'm never one to defend Elkan, but I think they had to say something, because it's a company with significant shares in Juventus that have come out publicly and say they want to buy Juventus. So I think that it's not just.
Of course, he has to. I get that, but the manner in which this has been, and the video he made defending. I mean, either this is just a psyop, like the whole thing is just theater, and they're doing this to create goodwill for Elkan and his running of Juve, or Elkan has been screwed by them, because if he's let them in and this is a hostile takeover of Juve, he's an idiot. Like, this is an unbelievable stepping in dog shit.
There's no way they can do a hostile takeover, because it's impossible. They can't.
No, but to create they can start by doing what they've done. I don't know what this is, but I find it fascinating. I don't know if this is just theater or if this is serious, because Tether, I don't want to say too much, but look into them and look into their structure and financial situation and who they are, and you'll this. I don't know. This thing just, to me, is a fascinating.
You think they're serious? You think they're serious, or
I don't. I don't know. Like, that's the thing. I don't know.
I think that everybody realizes that Juventus are being run horrendously, and that Elkan himself is not up to the job. I mean, that's obvious, but sometimes you have to be careful who you sell to if you are going to sell. And I think selling to a Bitcoin company that have been around for how long? 11, 10. When were they formed? The Tether.
I don't know.
Like not long.
I don't think, is it Bitcoin? I think it's stable coin.
Okay, whatever. They all mean the same to me. They've been around since.
I love how I love how I seem like the crypto bro compared to you. Like,
crypto, Bitcoin, it's all the same nonsense to me. 2000,
and I'm literally like,
I think they've been around since
about this stuff. I just know that there's a difference between Bitcoin.
They've been around since 2012 or 2014 or something like that. So I'm sorry, you do not sell to a company like that. You know, if I was a Juventus fan, yes, you can be here, but sometimes you've got to be a little bit careful. And you know, look at Milan. Look at when Berlusconi sold to the Chinese. Look what happened there. You know, you've got to be careful. Just because things are bad right now, you've got to be very careful who you sell to. You know, you don't cure a disease by injecting yourself.
The thing
with
is,
poison.
and also the whole "Make Juventus
what I mean.
Great Again" moniker that they're doing as well. Like, I mean, the whole thing is just like, I don't know, man. This just be careful what you wish for. And I don't know how serious to take this. I don't know if this is all just theater. I don't know if it's actually serious. I don't know if Elkan screwed up by how desperate he was to bring them in, and now they're trying to take a hostile takeover because, I mean, listen to his statement. It's basically he's not happy about it. That's not, you know, at least based on his words. I don't know. I think the whole thing is just a bit.
No, I understand him being angry because it's not nice, you know, when you let somebody into the club and they've got significant shares in, and they're
that's what I'm saying.
They're putting out public things like this. So I understand that. Again, I'm not one to defend him. I understand that because that's not really.
But that's my point.
Good for the club. It's not good for the club.
Of course it isn't. But that's my point. Either this is just bullshit and it's just a psyop to create some goodwill in the media for Elkan, or Elkan got double crossed by bringing these guys in, and now they're trying a hostile takeover. It's regardless. It's
agreed. Yeah, it adds to the whole, you know, lack of unity and synergy within the club that we've seen over the last 4 to 5 years, and this is, you know, this is among the shareholders.
But it's extraordinary. It's extraordinary. Like I just I find this entire. This is to me the most extraordinary talking point right now in Italian football is this shit show, and then the statement he put out, the video he put out, and it was weird. It was weird.
Okay, not much to say about Bologna other than they're on a little bit of a bad run now, 1 point from their last 3 games. I think they were tired in this game. They played on Thursday. Juventus had a day extra rest. I think maybe that played into it in this game for Bologna, and then obviously the red card finished them off. Rest of the fixtures.
Just one thing on Bologna. Just still the way, you know, they did hit the crossbar, and the way that they do that again, it's so nice to see again how Vincenzo Italiano teams attack, how they construct, and he is ready now. I really think he's ready. If I'm Juve and I'm looking forward to the future and I want to build something fresh and serious, and he's the guy I go for, unless I go for Simone Inzaghi, who's a bit more tried and tested and plays a back three. You don't have to, you know, tweak too much. But if you actually want a revolution, if I'm Juventus, he's the guy I'm going for. We know that Aurelio De Laurentiis has been madly in love, and, you know, he's been dreaming of him for many years. This is the guy he wants. But I'm not entirely sure that Conte leaving leaving Napoli the way he does, it's not an easy switch. But if I'm Juve, I would be focusing on trying to get Vincenzo Italiano for next season. Like that would be the top. That would be the top of my list. Is that someone you would want?
Potentially, yeah, because he's a good builder. He builds. And he has a clear identity, and so absolutely. But again, it comes down to, you know, you need the support of the club as well, don't you? So,
but also the football he plays is very modern. It's the kind of football you always talk about that you want to see. You want to see patterns of play. You want to see possession. You want to see.
Well, I think what he's doing with Bologna is great, because I don't think that's a great squad of players, and I don't think they had a good mercato either. To be honest, I think he's overperforming massively with them, and I thought their performance against Celta Vigo, who are a good Spanish team. After Celta Vigo had won against Madrid a few days before. I mean, the way they took them apart was outstanding. So away from home. So yeah, there's no doubt about that. Let's move on to the rest of the fixtures. Lecce 1, Pisa 0, which I'm sure you watched.
Yeah, of course I did.
Torino
Such a
1.
fundamentally important win for Lecce, and Eusebio Di Francesco, I'm not a big fan of. We can actually do this. Lecce are in a position to avoid relegation now. It's crazy. I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely happy.
Absolutely. Then we had Torino 1, Cremonese 0. But what I want to talk about here is, and this is a Serie ASS of the week as well, but let's do it now. Jamie Vardy getting named as Player of the Month by Serie A is such a massive own goal by the Serie A. Right, Jamie Vardy, let me tell you, do you know what Jamie Vardy's record was in November? He played 3 games, he scored 1 goal, and Cremonese lost all 3 matches. And the Serie A named him as Player of the Month. I mean, it's just embarrassing. And I can tell you why the Serie A named.
Of course, he's a Premier League player.
As Jamie Vardy was named Player of the Month by the Serie A because the Serie A thought, oh, how can we try and market this league and try and get Premier League fans and English fans and English language fans interested in the league? How can we create a bit of a story? They thought, oh, I know. Let's get Jamie Vardy, Premier League legend, and everybody's going to, all of a sudden, everybody's going to suddenly get interested in Serie A. We're going to sell loads of subscriptions. TV companies are going to spend a lot of money. I'm telling you, you laugh. That is why they done it. Because I know how these guys think. That's how they think. This is how stupid they are.
I'm not arguing with you.
That's the reason why they've done it. They don't think that actually, if we give the Player of the Month to a 38-year-old who scored 1 goal in 3 losing games, actually, everybody is going to the opposite's going to happen, and everybody's going to laugh.
Didn't he score 2 against Bologna? Which game was
he scored 2 against Bologna in December. That was in December, not November. Right? So what actually happens is the opposite happens. Everybody sees that a 38-year-old
finished league,
38-year-old player who's nearly 39 gets named Player of the Month, and they laugh at us and mock us. And that's exactly what happened. If you have a look at social media over the last few days, the Serie A has been absolutely laughed. People just tweeting all kinds of stuff, posting all kinds of stuff, doing videos. Serie A retirement league. Look how washed Serie A is. Jamie Vardy's the best player in the league. And listen, nothing against Jamie Vardy, right? I think he's been really good.
Me too. I like him.
He's had a legendary career. What he's done at Leicester, he's still really good. Okay, I'm not saying he's a bad player. In fact, I think he's been really, really good for Cremonese. And he's still in great shape. He's still quick. He's done well in the big games. This is just the fact that he was not Player of the Month, not even close. And this is on the league. This is me criticising the league. I just want to clarify that. I've got all the love in the world for Jamie Vardy. Right? And we had Gökhan Inler on the show last week who praised him and said, those two played together at Leicester and told a great story about him. But yeah, and then this is what I'm talking about. This is what the league does. These bozos think that it's a good idea to give Jamie Vardy the Player of the Month. So that's that one out of the way. Parma 0, Lazio 1. Big win for Lazio. 9 men, Lazio. Noslin with a goal which might even save his Lazio career as well. Again, the refereeing was scandalous in that game. That red card that Zaccagni got was an absolute scandal. Just unbelievable. They gave him a red card for that. If you look at, I was talking
to our patron Alessandro Arbezzani, who trains referees for the AFC in Asia. He's Italian. He's from just outside of Milan, and he was a referee, and now he trains a referee for on behalf of the from FIFA and the AFC. But basically, about the Lazio thing. I mean, he sent me this because I asked him. I was like, I'm a little bit confused as to what the protocol is when it comes to Zaccagni and Basic. And he sent me this. He's like, for me, the Zaccagni is not a red for 3 main reasons. The speed of the challenge is medium speed. He doesn't challenge from too far. The force is high, true. He dives in, but the point of contact is back is back on the leg, on the foot ankle. If he gets him with the studs, that's a red. But in this case, a yellow is enough. I don't think the VAR can do much here because of the red If the ref judges the intensity that high on fire, then it's not a clear and obvious. There's a school of thought that says, let's not wait for them to break a leg before sending them off. So I can see why this was called a serious foul play. But in my opinion, I think the yellow was a better. As for the Basic thing, he said, initially when I saw it from behind, I was like, no, that's not. But when I see it from the front, I completely agree with the red card, because Basic uses his elbow as a weapon to hit an opponent. He's static. His body is still. He leads the challenge with his elbow. He swings clearly with excessive force. And that's kind of where I land on this as well. I think the Zaccagni thing is harsh, but Basic, I mean, you can't.
No, I agree. I didn't even bring up. I didn't even bring up the Basic one. I agree on that. Also with the Zaccagni one, it's not frontal as well.
No.
Like it's from the side. Like and he scrapes. Like he literally scrapes the side of his shin pads. You know, it's just a scandal. But again,
I thought that was wrong. I think the Zaccagni red card was wrong, but the Basic one is just, come on.
Yeah, I agree. Atalanta 2, Cagliari 1.
Scamacca.
Scamacca's in great form. He's 3 games
5 goals now. 5 goals in the Serie A.
Yeah, 5 and 7 since that Italy horror show that he had. And he's the match winner in this game. And Atalanta they're picking up. So yeah, let's see how Atalanta.
Atalanta are in a good position, like I said in my post match after the Champions League, to actually finish in the top 8. They can actually do this, and I hope they do. It'd be good.
Oh, well, I think that's a certainty top 8. But even I think
which is again very impressive achievement by Atalanta, and Palladino's really turning the ship around. I'm not even prepared if they continue I'm not prepared to discount them out of the top 4 race. To be honest,
no, that was what I was going to say. There's no achievement in coming top 8. They should be coming top 8, but top 4, I think that there's a potential that they could. I think they could get back into that. Looking at the standard of the other teams that are in.
Top 8 in the Champions League.
Top 8 in the Champions League. Oh yeah. Wow, yeah, that is a big achievement. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, and I think they can do it now. I think they can do it.
Me too. Me too. And I think they can get 6 points. And if they were, that's a huge achievement. And I wouldn't discount them, like I said, from the top 4 in the Serie A either. No, I agree with you. Yeah. Palladino's doing great. And I love to see this tridente, Lookman, Scamacca, De Ketelaere. De Ketelaere was unplayable.
He's in great form at the moment. Yeah.
Against Chelsea, he was unplayable. Palladino's using him correctly. That's
been the key to Atalanta's revival, is that those 3 are playing well. Yeah. Right, and finally,
I think if they get Lookman to start scoring more, they will finish in the top 4. I think the firepower they have, they'll just blow teams away. It still feels like Atalanta have another gear to put in.
No, after Inter, you could argue that that's the next best attack.
Agreed.
Those three.
Agreed.
Right.
Agreed.
Fiorentina 1, Hellas Verona 2. Gift Orban scoring the winner in injury time by millimeters, and that goal really sums up Fiorentina. That winner, the ball's hooked from the byline. It looks like it's miles out. The Fiorentina defenders basically stop playing because they think it's out, and then Orban scores. And then it goes to the replay, and it's in by a millimeter. The ball is just in. And Hellas Verona steal the game in injury time. From Hellas Verona's point of view, fantastic week, 2 wins in a row. They were looking in big trouble, and now they're right back in. They're still in the relegation zone. They're right back in with a chance of getting themselves out of trouble, which I'm happy for, because I've said before, I think they've been really unlucky this season. They deserve to be in the top half based on expected points. In fact, they deserve to be near the European places based on expected points. But as for Fiorentina, Vanoli has to go now, surely.
She's never been appointed. And it's genuinely is a crisis. I mean, when you're 8 points off of safety after 15 matches, you're dead last in the Serie A, 0 wins after 15 games. This is a nightmare. And I don't know who they bring in to save them now. Ballardini, Iachini. I mean, what do? Do they bring back Pioli? It's an absolute mess. And Fiorentina going down would be a disaster for the Serie A. It would be an absolute disaster for the Serie A if Fiorentina go down, and they are very much risking that. I mean, does anyone, if you were to bet, and I don't, but if you were to bet, would you bet on them staying up? I'm not sure.
Well, I said last week, I said that I want to wait until, I said they had 4 good fixtures in a row against bottom teams. I said, I want to wait until after those 4 games, see how they get on with them, see where they are in the table, then I'll say. And I said that if they were to, for example, not win any of those 4 games, or maybe only pick up a few points from those 4 games, then I'm probably going to say I think they're actually probably going to go down. Well, they've had the first of those 4 games, so I don't want to say anything yet, but it's started badly. So
what's that goal that De Gea concedes, that opening goal from Orban? I mean, what is he doing?
No, it's disaster. Defenses, to be fair, they created more than enough chances in this game to win the game. Like, they didn't deserve to lose this game. They probably deserved to win this game. You know, how Keane didn't score. I mean, it's just that, like, it's a disaster. They're playing awfully, but they're getting, like, things are just going against them. Like, they're just some of the luck, the bad luck that they're getting against them. It just seems like they're cursed at the moment. Everything.
When it rains, it pours. Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely. Right. Let's finish off with Baggio, Premface, and Serie ASS of the week. So Baggio, what we got for Baggio? I mean, I think there's a few that we could go for this week. I mean, I think that Scamacca, for sure, scoring against Chelsea, and the winner, 2 goals against Cagliari. I think
for me it's Lazio. For me, it's Lazio. The character, again, we've spoken about this many times this season. The character, the desire, the fight, the spirit that Lazio showed to win with 9 men, for me, is Baggio of the week. You just have to tip the hat. Sarri is doing a fantastic job in impossible conditions, and he's created a team out of this lot. So tip of the hat to Sarri and to Lazio, because that is impressive. That's what fans want to see. You want to see your team, the players on your team, fight for pride, for the shirt, the badge in front of it, in front of the shirt, in the front of the shirt. And Lazio did that. It was brilliant, absolutely brilliant character on display.
Yeah, and Hellas, I want to shout out to them as well for winning the 2 games. Premface of the week. I've got Jamie Carragher. Oh, this is so good. So
he's not real.
Mo Salah calls out Jamie Carragher, preemptively calls him out after his outburst against Arne Slot the week before, and where he basically says, "Oh, you know, Jamie Carragher is going to have something to. He's going to be talking about me this week after I've said this." So, which was quite funny. Anyway, so Jamie Carragher, starts defending himself, and he goes on Sky.
When have I ever criticized Mo Salah on the pitch?
That's a really good accent, Nima. That's really good. Yeah, he goes,
Virgil van Dijk is the greatest defender in the world.
Really good, Nima. Have I ever criticised Mo Salah on the pitch? Is what Jamie Carragher said, and the Sky Sports host replies, "Last week he said his legs have gone."
That will never stop being funny. That will never stop being funny, by the way. The walking own goal. The walking own goal that is Jamie Carragher. The human own goal.
Well, he actually scored more own goals in his career than he scored actual goals.
Which is kind of what I was alluding to as well. But I mean, he's as shit defending Liverpool on the pitch as he is off it, isn't he? I mean, he's just.
Listen, I'll be fair to him. He was a good defender. I'm not going to say he was
meh.
Nah, he was a really good defender. He was a really good defender.
He was a decent defender. It's like we said, Rugani, Gabbia, that level.
No. Listen,
I just echo what Mourinho said. Not even in the top 1,000 who've ever played defenders. Like he's.
Oh yeah, listen. I'm not saying he's one of the best ever, but he was a good defender. Yeah, he wasn't a bad defender.
Decent.
Serie ASS of the week.
So yeah, being sports in Australia, there's a couple of really.
I want to do the second one.
Yeah, the B in sports in Australia. This is sent in from Gianluca Anselmo, one of our patrons. He says the B in sports in Australia used the Salernitana club badge instead of Torino when showing highlights. I love that.
Amazing. Well, I've got the official Serie A, the Liga Serie A. So
This official, is best.
It was amazing. So after they beat Juventus, they put up a graphic the next day, an official graphic about how Napoli had gone the entire calendar year unbeaten at home. And the graphic read, Napoli,
unbeaten.
Napoli, 17 games, unbeaten.
I love it. It reminds me of, I don't know why, but when I read this, I immediately thought of when Fratesi and Inter, I think they were in, I can't remember when this was. I think it was for the Super Coppa in Saudi, not last season or the season before, something like that. Yeah, it was the season before. They were in Saudi, and Inter fan, a Saudi Inter fan, I assume was Saudi, came up to him and said, "Oh, Fratesi, you scored against Milan, goal against Milan." And Fratesi responds, "No, I'm engaged. I'm engaged." Like, what? Like, I don't know why. It just reminded me of that. Yeah, no, unbeaten. They're unbeaten.
Well, the Lega Serie A is unbeaten when it comes to.
They are unbeaten.
And Juventus,
the unbeaten of the week.
What did the Juventus social media team do that was stupid this week? I mean, they do so much stupid stuff.
I don't know.
I think it was to do with John. What's his name? The wrestler. Who's the wrestler that
John
retired?
Cena. Yeah.
John Cena, and they just like randomly. And also there was another one
about Turam was making. Yeah.
And then they also did another one on their favorite music or something, and it was just so like random. Like asking all their players, "What's your favorite music?" And they were just
no, it was Spotify Wrapped. It was what's on your Spotify Wrapped. It was. It just didn't. You just got to see it. It's just so weird.
Everything that club does on social media just irritates me now. Honestly, even if they do something good now, it irritates me because it's just the way they do it is just so bad.
Unbeaten.
Right. Let's leave it at that. Okay. Yeah, we'll leave it at that. We'll be back later in the week for a Q&A. And
since we're heading for Christmas as well, we're going to be doing what was it, like a not halfway point, but Serie A. What was it you said? He called it Serie A.
Yeah, we'll do some content we'll do some content over the Christmas New Year period, which we'll push out stuff like teams of the half team of the season,
half team of the season, something
Serie awards content and stuff like that.
That's the one. Award was the word I was looking for. I went Serie A on you. Unbeaten.
You did.
I went unbeaten on you. But yeah, we'll be out later in the week. A Q&A for patrons, patreon.com/TIFP or YouTube memberships. $2.99 a month on. $3.99.
Yeah, I need to get run anyway because I need to go to the cake shop and unbeaten some eggs and make some make some cakes. So,
unbeaten.
Yeah. Right. Let's leave it at that. Thanks everyone for listening, and we'll see you next time. Ciao, ciao.